All right, guys, we are back for another rendition of Who I Am mixed in Reaper. So the last video you watched was me mixing the same song in Harrison Mixbus 32C, and I have been using Reaper for probably 10 plus years, probably closer to 12 if I have to be exact. And I just know it pretty well. So there's a few different conventions that you're going to see me do in Reaper that you don't see in Mixbus, and that doesn't make it good or bad. It's just different. With Reaper, we're going to be dealing with folders and not sending tracks to separate buses, even though I do have a Reaper template for a certain busing structure. So let's just go ahead and get the tracks pulled in here, and then we can show you how to mix this thing in Reaper. So here we go. I have all the tracks here. So what I'm going to do is pull in the drums, and we're going to highlight all these tracks and just drag them in. So let's put them all on measure 2, and we're going to put them on separate tracks. And you can see I'm building peaks there. I am using a Pro Tools theme in Reaper. If you want to change the theme, you can go down here to options and then themes. And I think the default at this point is, 6? Let's just click on default. I can do whatever you guys want me to do, okay? If you like the default theme in Reaper, that's fine. I'm going to hold down Command on a Mac or Control on a PC and just move my mouse wheel, and that will make everything nice and small as far as the track heights go. And then let's go to strings. Okay, and we'll drag and drop these into the second measure as well. And we're going to put these all on separate tracks. It usually asks you that when you first insert the media. Boom, there we go. And then the last one is going to be piano and vocals. I don't want to do I'm not going to do the final mix here. So I'm not even going to worry about pulling that in. I'm just going to bypass it for now. All right, there we go. Now I can use my mouse wheel pretty much anywhere in the timeline to zoom in and out. But you notice that my zooming got kind of carried away there. So hit the W key to go to the beginning. And I know there's different ways to zoom to the whole session. You can always go to actions and then action list and then type in zoom to see if there is a certain key command that you want to learn. Let's see, we got multi-zoom. I'm trying to see if there's a zoom to session. Not that. Zoom in horizontal. So zoom in horizontal is like, if we do the plus and minus, we can do that kind of thing, which is cool. Zoom out project, which is command plus page up. Interesting. So let's see what that does here. Okay. No, sorry, page down is command, zoom out the project. Okay. Command plus shift plus page. Okay. Oh, that's pretty good. We can deal with that. It was just something I couldn't quite remember. I was like, how do we zoom out to like just the session itself? Because sometimes when you're zooming in like this far, and then you zoom back out, you're zooming like that. So pretty much the zoom is going to be centered on where the mouse is. But you can always go in and change that in the defaults. But we're going to not mess with that so far in the extent of this video. So we can deep dive in the different defaults and stuff. And if you've seen my music production course. I pretty much use Reaper for the default examples in that course. And I do dive into some parameter and option preferences type stuff. So, all right, I think the best thing to do right now is let's hold down Command and kind of scroll out a little bit. And let's just organize these drums. So first of all, we can see the names of each drum right here. So let's go ahead and do this. Let's go ahead and name this one hi-hat. Then we're going to call this kick. And okay, that one's a distressor, and that one's a DBX. Kick dis, and then kick DBX. And then we have two different overhead mics here. So we'll just call this overhead left, overhead right, room, cell, room left, room right, SN for snare, SR and top, T1, T2. So my toms are usually just like some kind of T, like T1, T2, T3, something like that. This is going to be a drum fat. Let's see here. This is acoustic guitar right, AC guitar left. Okay. Now this is guitar number 2. So AC guitar 2 left, AC guitar 2 right. This is guitar number 3. 3 left, AC guitar 3 right. Banjo. So this banjo has 2 different microphones on it. We'll call it like banjo 1 and banjo 2. Let's see what kind of bass we have. We just have one bass track, so that's fine. Dobro left, dobro right, fiddle left, fiddle right, mando left. Actually, it's just one mando, so we'll change that. Piano left, piano right, BGV1, and then lead Vox. And that should be everything. Okay, so now what we want to do is we're going to go in here and we are just going to reorder some of these tracks. So with everything nice and small, we can see that the kick and the snares. So what I did was I selected each one you select. If you hold down Command, it just adds it to the selection. If you hold down Shift, it will select everything in between. So that's not exactly what we want to do right now. But you notice when I moved the kick up, it moved the other 2 up next to it because they're technically grouped by selection. Okay. So we have 2 more kicks here, which we can move up here. We have a hi-hat and then 2 overheads, room, and then a room left and right. We put the toms. Let's put these toms up here, probably right before the overheads. That's fine. And I may end up making this a template. I'm not quite sure just yet. We'll do some mixing and see what we think. Let's find that bass. Now, it's very strange. I mean, most sessions you see They're either in alphabetical order of some sort, even though the A's were down here. But I guess it's just how we insert, imported them in. So that's fine. Acoustic guitar there, banjos, fiddles, pianos, background vocal, and vocal. So that looks pretty good. So most of the time I have my drums first and then the bass, then any kind of guitar type stuff. In this case, it's acoustic guitar. And then the banjo, dobro, fiddle, and mandolin are kind of your alternate type string parts. And then in this case, it's like a country tune, kind of bluegrassy, kind of country type style. So we're going to group these together there. And then we got that. So how I usually group things in Reaper is this. Okay. What we're going to do is we're going to make some tracks. And we can either right click in this track header area here and just say insert new track. Or you can see we can do Command T. Or we can just simply double click. So let me show you one way is Command T. That adds a track. And of course it added it after whatever was selected there. So if I want to add a track after a certain track, I just select that track and then I can add it in. But in this case, I'm just going to double click. And Reaper is very special and very cool in the such a way that a track can either be a folder, an audio track, a MIDI track. It can be a bus. I mean, you can pretty much make it whatever you want. You can even have audio and MIDI on the same track, which is really cool. So, all right, what we're going to do is move this blank track up here. So I'm going to select all these tracks by selecting one and then holding down Shift and then selecting the last one. And now in Reaper, we can simply drag up until we see a little indentation on the track itself and then let go. And that puts all those tracks into a folder, which is great. We're going to call this drums group. Okay. We have a bass. Let's drag this up here. We're going to add these guitars into a guitar group. ACGTR group. And more than likely, I'm just going to add effects to the groups themselves to start off with, and then maybe go in and process things individually. Okay, so this is going to be bluegrass group. Okay. This is going to cover everything from the mandolin to the banjo. So select and slide. That's going to put those into place. And then bring that there. Move these pianos up. Like that. And then we got background vocal and vocal. So I'm going to select both of these. Man, there we go. Right click, remove tracks. Okay. Now what this allows us to do is this. I can go in and I can mute all the drums, which is really cool. I can change this little arrow thing here, and it says it compacts the view of all tracks in this folder. So you can make it really big or really small. Okay, so if we compact it all down, it would be this, essentially, which takes up very, very little space on the screen. And then we can do stuff like this, or we can just make that a little bit wider. And now it's pretty easy to just go in and, do some processing. So you notice in this theme, we really don't have a fader per se. This little knob right here is the volume fader. And then this knob right here is the pan pot. We can add effects in this little block right here. If we click on trim, this is where we add in any kind of automation, which we can do volume, which is like moving a fader. We have a pan, a width, a volume pre-effects, which is really good to have. We have a trim volume, which is basically like a way to change the actual waveform itself, but do it on a envelope. And then we can automate muting, which we may not need some muting in this song itself, but maybe sometime in the future. Then over here we have the master bus or the master track. If we right click here, we can see the master VU settings. It's set to display offset is 14, which means it's a K14 meter, which if you noticed in the mix bus video, it had a K14 meter right there on the master bus. But essentially, if you're seeing the 0 right here in this kind of upper third section, that's where 14 is. And then the very top is your 0 dBFS, which is a dB full scale. Okay. So that's enough on showing how to create folders and then put tracks into folders. And now we can actually start mixing. So this is kind of unfair because I've been through the song already, multiple times, or at least once at this point. But after everything is done, I'll have mixed the same song 4 times. So the more I mix it, the better I'm going to get at the actual mix. And it really doesn't matter which DAW it is, because I'm just going to be applying the same concepts to everything. I'm going to go ahead and check my order here. And we are rolling. Let's play some audio. All right, so I want you to notice right there that we were hitting the red of the master bus and multiple groups. So probably first thing we're going to need to do is we can go to our mixer view here, and we can right click. Okay, if we right click on the bottom down here, we can see that we have the option to dock the mixer in Docker. So that's just going to add the mixer to the bottom view of the edit window. So it's like a 2-in-1 type of thing. And I kind of like it like that. What we're going to do is this. We're going to bring down the drum group. Okay. We're going to bring down the bass, bring down the acoustic guitar group, bring down the bluegrass group, the piano, background vocal, and the vocal. Okay, so we're going to bring everything down to a reasonable level, and let's listen again. Okay, another thing we can look at here is the actual level of the tracks themselves. So let's look at the acoustic guitar here. So we're kind of hitting in the -6 area. It's pretty hot, okay? So let's look at the size of the tracks. And we're going to go down here. And let's just select these. And we're going to use this little circle right here, which is the item volume. We're going to bring that down about 6 dB or so. Somewhere around there. Okay. We can still see the waveform really good, but it just brings down the overall volume and it's not so hot. So we're doing a little bit of gain staging right now. So now it's hitting around -18, -16. We can probably stand to bring up the acoustic volume. Okay, very good. Let's do the same thing for the drums, which is right here. Let's solo this up. Okay, it's not bad. But just for the sake of convenience, let's just go ahead and bring down these drums for about 6 dB or so. Okay. Okay, our fiddles are a little loud here. So let's go down to our bluegrass group. And you can see the fiddle waveforms are just a little too loud. So let's just bring them down maybe 3 or 4 dB. The dobro is a little hot compared to the banjo. Bring that down. Maybe we'll bring the banjo up just a little bit. Okay. And then the mandolin is looking good there. Let's check out the piano. Piano looks good. Background vocal. I'm not too worried about that because usually you want your vocals to be, nice and loud in the mix anyway. All right, so let's go ahead and listen again. And let's see if we can get a decent static mix just by moving the group faders, okay?
That's who I am and where I'm from. Up in the morning for the break of day, put in a hard day's work to earn our way. Tuck the babies in the bed when the bedtime comes, and that's who I am and where I'm from. Kids still play out in the yard. Everybody knows who their neighbors are. Just a dot on a map where the highway runs. That's who I am and where I'm from. That's who I am and where I'm from. Might have a little drink on Saturday night. Stay out till the sidewalks are rolled up tight. Go to church and learn about God's Son. That's who I am and where I'm from. The fire department's all volunteers.
Okay, pretty good. We can see that the acoustic and the bluegrass groups are they're not really distorting, but they're just being a little too loud. What we're going to do now is let's go ahead and set up our busing structure like we have in mixed bus, and we're going to keep doing this for the other DAWs as well. So I have Doctor buses, Doctor SSD expanded. That's a Superior Drummer thing. Yeah, I think Doctor buses should be fine for what I do. So we're going to bring this in, and it's going to think for a second. And my bluegrass group was selected when that happened. So I need to undo this. Let's select the last group. Track template, Doctor buses. And I think I have a YouTube video on my busing structure. So essentially what we have is a submix, and then we have a bunch of other effects and subgroups and stuff like that. So now the cool thing about this is we have a vocal bus, a background vocal bus, a band bus, and an instrument bus. So essentially what is happening here is the bass, guitars, keys are going to the instruments, and then the drums are going to the band, and the instrument is going into the band. So what is essentially can happen is if I solo the instruments, I'm only hearing the instruments minus the drums. Okay. And I think that's pretty important. So that way you can really hear the balance of everything. Then once you get the drums balanced, and then when you when you solo the band bus, you hear drums and all the other instruments, but minus the vocals. So there you go. That's just kind of how I do it. I guess technically I could have a vocal bus and not worry about a background vocal, but that's just how it is. And then all of these go into the submix. Okay. So essentially what we're going to do is this. We're going to go here. We're going to do a routing. We're going to take it out of the master send. And we're going to send this to, see, we got vocal, background vocal. We're going to send it to the drums. Okay. We're going to have the send be full, have it normaled to 0. So watch this. I'm going to show you. When we solo the drums here, watch where they show up. So they show up in the drums, the band, and the submix. I know, cool, right? Pretty cool stuff there. And we may do some drums NYC. So what we can do for the drums NYC is this. We're going to hit receive here. Okay. We're going to go to receive. We're going to say we're going to receive the kick. And we're going to receive the snare top. And let's do the room mics here. Let's do a drum fat. We're not going to get too crazy on that, but so now when we hit the drums again, yeah. Cool. So we can process this kick snare and the room mic really heavily and then blend that back into the original drum sound. So that's cool. We do have piano in here. So let's click on piano and we're going to receive the piano track. Wait, I totally didn't do that right. Let's delete. Actually, I can just do that. So yeah, we're receiving the piano folder, which has both pianos in it. So now, if I solo the piano, we need to get over to this section.
Where the highway runs, that's who I am and where I'm from.
Okay, so there's that. Let's unsolo these drums here. Let's keep going. We only have one bass. So notice so far we have to do a lot of the routing with this box, and in mix bus, we just had a little button we had to push. Hello, where's my bass? Guitar group. Oh, I see. Sorry, I'm being an idiot. So the bass goes there. I was looking for the bass track, which I was already on the bass track, so it didn't make sense. We're going to send the guitar group to the guitars bus. And essentially this guitar group can be the bus, but I think it's easier to have all the buses in one spot. which we can always right click and let's see, group folders to the left, group tracks that have receives to the left. So we can technically have all these folders like looking over to the left on the mixer side, but I usually don't work that way, so it's fine. So there's the guitars. We need to send the bluegrass to also the guitars. So that's kind of cool doing it this way. Because essentially we could have the guitars and the bluegrass instruments going to the same bus, but then we can process them either separately or all together or whatever. So if I solo this up right here,
kids still play out in the yard. Everybody knows who their name.
Now I don't know why I'm still hearing the drums when I have this soloed, but that's a good question. I'm not really sure. Oh, I know why. Check this out. Click on the routing here. I need to take it out of the master. Okay. And that's something that you can't really see all that well when you're doing it this way. Mixbus makes it really easy to see exactly what is being sent to the master and whatever else. You could also go here to your routing, and you can see that this is the master parent track. You can see what's going to the master and what's not. So piano is out of the master. Let's take that out. And we can also route things this way too. So the background vocal, which is here, can be sent to the background vocal. Like that. Just double click. I don't know why my mouse is freaking out. So we can send this to the vocals here. Okay, now we should be routed where we need to be routed. I feel pretty good about that. Now I can solo some stuff on the master buses, and we should be able to hear everything. So
kids still play out in the yard. Everybody knows who their neighbors are. Just a dot on a map where the highway runs.
now, why are these solo defeated? Why? I don't know how that happened. Huh. Okay. Sorry about that. Not sure how all these got to solo defeated. But we're going to take those off. Looks like they were saved that way in the template. But they shouldn't be. Okay, let's try it now. So that's the piano. There's the guitars. And the bluegrass instruments. So now essentially we have a way to just kind of stay on the buses area for a while and just kind of mix that way. And we can add plugins or whatever else. Now I do have a 76 pre plugin on here, which is not really necessary. And I don't want to use a lot of third-party plugins for the sake of use guys who may not have, a bunch of plugins. So we're just going to delete all these. Valhalla Rooms. There is a redelay right there. So for the drum verb, let's go to Cocos, and let's add in a reverb. Okay. We're going to click add and click on reverb generator. We can make this 100% wet, take down the dry, and then let's see what happens. So that's the drum verb. So I guess we want drums to be separate from everything else. So let's go over to our drums here. And let's see what happens if we send a snare top to the drum verb. Okay. Let's go ahead and play it.
Kids still play out in the yard. Everybody knows who their neighbors are.
So you can hear the verb going on there. You can change the starting position. I'm gonna admit I'm kind of confused right now what's going on. Because why can't I change this room size? That just sounds weird. It sounds weird. So let's bring down the verb.
Kids still play.
That should be bearable.
Map where the highway runs.
Now we might have to break the rule on here, because I definitely don't want a crappy reverb. Let's see what reverberate does. Maybe this will be easier to use. So we got room size, dampening, low pass filter. Let's definitely bring that down to the high pass filter. Took the dry all the way out. And we're going to send the vocal to the reverb. Okay, like that. And we'll just blend it in.
Kids still play out in the yard. Everybody knows who their neighbors are. Just a dot on a map where the highway runs. That's who I am and where I'm from. That's who I am and where I'm from.
I'm putting my mouse over this reverb sand and just kind of dragging down, so you can see I'm changing it that way. You can also use your mouse wheel to adjust the amount of sand you have. So that's kind of cool.
And kids still play out in the yard. Everybody knows who their neighbors are.
Okay, I'm making a executive decision here. We're going to hold down hold down Option, delete the reverb, and put on the reverberate. See if we can get a little bit better drum sound here. We do have a lot of different presets, which is great. So let's find snare, subtle touch of life. Let's see what that does.
Kids still play out in the yard.
Okay, let's go down here to the snare and solo it up. Yeah, it's pretty cool. Low pass, high pass, dampening.
Walks are rolled up tight. Go to church and learn about God's Son. That's who I am and where I'm from. The fire department's all volunteers. Law still pretty much upheld around here. Just a dot on a map where the highway runs. And that's who I am and where I'm from.
So you can see the little song and dance I have to do right now, because it's not always clear exactly. Like, you have to do a lot of bouncing around. So like, as far as reverb sends and effects and stuff like that, you just kind of have to remember. It's like, all right, am I sending the actual track straight to the verb, or am I sending the bus to the verb? And that's one thing that's a little bit easier to see in Mixbus. I know Reaper is very, very customizable, but after using Mixbus for the last 3 or 4 years, like pretty consistently, it's definitely easier to mix with. I gotta say that for sure. Okay. And I mean, editing, that's a whole nother story. I mean, you can do a lot of editing stuff in Reaper, which is great. But mixing, it's just a matter of, really knowing where everything is. So let's stay on the buses here. Let's just make a rule that we're going to send effects from the bus and not the individual track. Now, I didn't want to send the whole drums to the reverb, which is why I only sent the snare. And we might get away with the this fat drum right here. So let's send that to the drum verb. Kind of make that a little bit bigger there. Like that.
Who I am, where I'm from. That's who I am, where I'm from. I'd have a little drink on Saturday night. Stay out till the sidewalks are rolled up.
All right, let's go in here and do some panning. Okay, let's pan these rooms. Hard left and right. Let's do the overheads. Okay, let's go ahead and solo up the drums as I'm doing this. There we go. That was another issue, was my output was being sent out 1 and 2, even though I also have it sending out 33 to 34, which is a certain output on my PreSonus Studio Live Series 3 mixer. And that is all being captured within the DAW an arbor right here. So it's just a separate DAW that I'm capturing everything in. So now we should be able to hear things a little bit clearer, because we're actually hearing what the DAW is doing. Now you probably heard it the whole time because Arter is only receiving 33 and 34, but some of the decisions I was making was based off of what I was hearing, which I was hearing both outputs, which is not good. So let me bring up this DAW. Let's see what happens. Okay, so I can actually adjust the DAW volume that I hear in my headphones now, which is good. All right, so these drums sound a little bit better than I thought. I can hear the panning really good. Let's take these toms and pan them kind of a little bit to the left, a little bit to the right. Let's move this snare top track a little higher. Okay, there's the snare bottom. All right, let's go ahead and mess with the drums and get these really dialed in. So we're gonna solo the overheads, and we're gonna flip the polarity, which these are the polarity buttons right here. We're gonna go ahead and flip them and make sure that they sound correct. So let's listen to the snare first. Okay, that's good for that one. This isn't for the bottom snare. Okay, that sounds good to me. To the kicks. So what you want to listen for is there's a certain fatness that comes into the signal when you invert a track, because it either lines up with the overheads, or it's in phase with the overheads, or it's not in phase. And if you change the polarity here, you can definitely hear the difference. Make sure I save this. And so let's do the kick one more time. Thin, a little bit thicker. I mean, just enough, just a little bit. Cool. Over hi-hat. Bring that down, pan it. I think I had it pan left in the other song. Okay, usually overheads or rooms. Rooms are already going to be out of phase with the overheads because the room mics are so far away. All right, now. All right, command. If you have a lot of things soloed and you hit command, that will take away the solo. On mix bus, it's shift command or shift control on a PC. So it's just little nuances of key commands you have to remember for that. But I think the drums sound good for that. So let's go ahead and listen for the bass guitar here. Let's go back down to our buses. Let's mute the bluegrass instruments. So I kind of have to decide on which guitar is going to be more prominent as far as the rhythm guitars here. So let's check these out. Okay, that sounds pretty good overall. Let's throw a little re-EQ on the guitar group, and then let's see what we can do to kind of clean it up a little bit. Okay, let's also go to the Recomp, which is a stock compressor. And we're going to go find a preset here just to get us in the ballpark. And let's do acoustic guitar. See what happens. We probably have to adjust the threshold a little bit.
And where I'm from, the fire department's all volunteers, law still pretty much upheld around here. Just a dot on a map where the highway runs. And that's who I am, where I'm from. That's who I am, where I'm from.
All right, let's do some panning on these bluegrass instruments here. Let's see what we can do for the little bit of compression.
Kids still play out in the yard. Everybody knows who their neighbors are. Just a dot on a map where the highway runs. That's who I am, where I'm from. That's who I am, where.
So what I did there was I put the threshold on infinity. That essentially turns into a limiter, so it doesn't allow it to go past a certain point. And we can bring down the low pass filters and the high pass stuff. And fast release, maybe a slower attack.
Kids still play out in the yard. Everybody knows who their neighbors are. Just a dot on a map where the highway runs.
All right, let's check out these bluegrass instruments here. pan these guitars hard left and right. Leave the melody guitar at the middle. Dobro is going to be over here. Fiddle is going to be over here. Mandolin is going to be in the middle.
Tight. Go to church, learn about God's Son. That's who I am and where I'm from. The fire department's all volunteers, the law still pretty much upheld around here. Just a dot on a map where the highway runs. And that's who I am and where I'm from. That's who I am and where I'm.
Sorry, my mouse is freaking out. I'm not sure if it's the battery or what, but we'll go with it. All right. Let's listen to the piano here. Let's do some EQ. Let's see if there's anything for piano in here as far as presets go. Mud free. So we essentially rolled off some 150, dips from 315, dips from 640, which is another octave higher, and brought up a little bit of 6K. So that's fine.
Who I am and where I'm from. The fire department's all volunteers, the law still pretty much upheld around here. Just a dot on a map where the highway runs. And that's who I am and where I'm from.
Okay, let's put a compressor on the keys. And let's see what we got. Let's do a little... Let's see what acoustic guitar does on this one.
Kids still play out in the yard. Everybody knows who their neighbors are. Just a dot on a map where the highway runs.
Okay, not too bad. We might have to adjust the balance of that a little bit more. And should we have an instrument verb? Probably should. And let's see if we can find discrete room, flutter size. Let's try that. Let's just see what happens. Definitely turn the dry down and the mix up.
Kids still play out.
Okay, let's do some receives here. So we're going to receive this from the bluegrass group.
Kids still play out in the yard. Everybody.
Put my mouse wheel over here. Not bad.
Out till the sidewalks are rolled up tight. Go to church, learn about God's Son. That's who I am and where I'm from. The fire department's all volunteers, the law still pretty much upheld around here. Just a dot on a map where the highway runs. And that's who I am.
Okay, I think it's pretty good overall, really. We have an option now to, let's see, let's look at our vocals, because nothing's really compressed as far as the vocal goes. So let's go ahead and compress this, do the recomp. And in future videos, I only allow myself to use stock plugins. I mean, if I want to use like a SSL channel or something from Harrison or just like a Arturia plugin or something, I can do that. But I just wanted to kind of limit myself for now. But I did see a fader ride vocal, aim for 8 dB of gain reduction. Let's see what this does.
Kids still play out in the yard. Everybody knows who their neighbors are. Just a dot on a map where the highway runs. That's who I am, where I'm from. That's who I am, where I'm from.
Hey, I like it. Oh my gosh, this mouse. Getting on my nerves, man. I'll have to look into it, see what's going on. Let's do a background vocal preset, see what happens with that.
I'm from, that's who I am.
All right, let's go back here.
The fire department's all volunteers, law still pretty much upheld around here. Just a dot on a map where the highway runs. And that's who I am, where I'm from.
Okay, let's go back here.
The fire department's all volunteers, law still pretty much upheld around here. Just a dot on a map where the highway runs. And that's who I am, where I'm from. That's who I am, where I'm from.
Cool. All right, let's go to our background vocals. We're going to send this to a verb, the V verb. Let's do about half.
The fire department's all volunteers, law still pretty much upheld around here. Just a dot on a map where the highway runs. Who I am, where I'm from. That's who I am, where I'm from.
Okay. Not bad. Not bad at all. Let's do a little master bus compression here. And I'm really just sticking with presets right now because I think they sound pretty good overall.
The fire department's all volunteers, law still pretty much upheld around here. Just a dot on a map where the highway runs. And that's who I am, where I'm from. That's who I am, where I'm from.
All right, so notice that I'm hitting the auto makeup button there, and whatever gain reduction we get, I'm automatically making that up, just within the plugin. So now let's go ahead and shoot for something. I want to shoot for the RMS level to be around the 0 point.
The fire department's all volunteers, law still pretty much upheld around here. Just a dot on a map where the highway runs. And that's who I am, where I'm from. That's who I am, where I'm from.
Cool. And let's do one more. This one's going to be a JS plugin, and it's the Soft Clipper Limiter. I think the new version of Reaper, which I haven't downloaded yet, which I really should, it has a brick wall limiter as a stock plugin. So I'll definitely be sure to download and install that before the next round of songs and mixes come along. But I've been using this one for a very long time. So I usually hit the output brick wall as, let's do 1.5. I think that's pretty normal. And then we can just boost it from there. Okay, so check this out.
The fire department's all volunteers, law still pretty much upheld around here. Just a dot on a map where the highway runs. And that's who I am, where I'm from. That's who I am, where I'm from.
All right, let's get that turnaround again, because I want to make sure the bluegrass instruments are up in the mix where they should be.
Kids still play out in the yard.
All right, now this is the cool thing about the groups and the buses is right now I'm going to go ahead and solo the band, and then it automatically mutes the vocal out. So this is a really good way to just kind of isolate what you're hearing in the band mix versus what you're hearing in the vocal mix. And if you need to bring down the whole band or bring up the whole band to kind of get the vocal to sit right, then it's just an easy way of doing things. So let's go ahead and introduce, just for fun, let's introduce some JS plugins, because they are technically stock Reaper plugins, but they just come in as a JS form. I don't even know what JS really is, but they've just always come with Reaper, kind of like how the Ardour community Ace plugins come with Mixbus. You get JS plugins when you get Reaper. So a Fairchild is, it's a cool piece of hardware. And let's just see what happens if we throw this on the band bus. And this mouse. Okay, there's no presets to write home about, but what we can do is just start bringing down the threshold, and we'll see how the compressor responds here. Okay, that was a fail. I wasn't too happy. I mean, I didn't see the big deal on what that was doing. I think it's just best to stick with the stock recomp. Let's see what we can do. NY drum bus, attack overheads. Let's just do a master bus glue. And then we'll ease up on the threshold if we need to.
Play out in the yard. Everybody knows who their neighbors are. Just a dot on a map where the highway runs. That's who I am, where I'm from. That's who I am, where I'm from. That's who I am, where I'm from.
So I feel like the piano is still a little loud. So let's go to this section here and see what happens.
The fire department's all volunteers, the law still pretty much upheld around here. Just a
We could probably see there's a compressor on there. See what it's doing.
The fire department's all volunteer. The law's still pretty much upheld around here. Just a dot on a map where the highway runs. And that's who I am, where I'm from. That's who I am, where I'm from. Kids still play out in the yard. Everybody knows who their neighbors are. Just a dot on a map where the highway runs. That's who I am, where I'm from. That's who I am, where I'm from. That's who I am, where I'm from.
Okay, let me readdress this acoustic one more time, just to make sure I'm doing it right. Okay. Yeah, that sounds good. Let's show you how to export now. Okay, so we're going to go up here and we're going to make a timeline selection. If my mouse will work. Okay, like this. Something like that. Okay. We can also go to view and say master track. And what we want to look for is the trim knob, and we're going to add a volume envelope. And we're going to hold down shift like so. We're going to add in some nodes. So we'll lower that down. And let's see what a fade out sounds like here. All right, so everything fades out by this point. Okay, something like that. We'll bring that out. Just past the end. And now we can go to File and Render. And we're not going to render the whole project. We're just going to do the time selection, which is why we made the time selection just a second ago. We'll call this Who I Am Reaper Mix. And we will make this an MP3, 192 kilobyte, which is fine. We'll click Browse. We'll put this in the 5 terabyte Who I Am folder. Click Apply and click Render. And here we go. Okay, now we can click on the Finder. And it'll come up with our Who I Am Reaper Mix. Okay, so that works for me. And if you have any questions, feel free to reach out either through email or comment. Practice as much as you can on getting a static mix, getting a good balance, and then you can pan. Then you can add your effects and just do some final tweaks, and you should be good to go. Like I said, these tracks already sound pretty good, so there shouldn't be a whole lot that you have to do. But notice in my session that I just have a few EQs, a few compressors, a few reverbs, and that's really all you need. So thanks guys for watching. I'm Dr. McFarland, and I'll see you in the next video.